Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm LC. If this is your first time here, then welcome. If you are returning, then as always, welcome back, fam. As you can see by the title and you can see what's happening on the screen, your girl did it. I dyed my hair. I did it. And if you watched my 6-month lock update, you already know I was on the fence about whether or not I was about to dye my hair, but I just had the urge and I couldn't fight it. And I'm so happy I didn't because I'm so in love with this color. I think it's so pretty. I'm like obsessed. But I wanted to make sure that I filmed this video for you guys because I did actually dye it myself at home. I just used a box dye. I didn't want to add any additional bleach to it. So I wanted you guys to be able to go through this process with me in case you wanted to achieve this like Auburn-y copper burgundy type of color on your tips as well. So before we get into the video, make sure that you like this video if you end up enjoying it, and then subscribe if you want to be part of the family, and yeah, comment below if you would get this color as well. So let's get into it. Okay, so I went to my local beauty supply store and I picked up the box dye that matched the color I was looking for. This is the Carol's box dye, Texture Tones edition in the 4C Cognac color. I'll put the link below if I can find it so you guys can order it, but I love that they shows you what the color will look like on different colors of hair, so that can be really helpful. Once I went ahead and got that, I went ahead and opened up the box, and it has a label on each one of the bottles, labeling it 1, 2, and 3, so that you know what to use at what step. So 1 and 2 are part of the dyeing process, and then number 3 is the conditioner. We all know that dye is damaging to your hair. It strips a lot of the protein, so that conditioner is necessary to get that protein back into your hair. They also gave you some gloves, which I thought was super thoughtful because you don't want to get dye all over your nails and fingernails. And speaking of getting dye everywhere, make sure that you put down some towels to cover up any surfaces that you don't want to get dye on, and put Vaseline around your forehead and your ears so that you don't stain it. I forgot to do that, but you want to do that. And lastly, make sure you guys read the directions for yourself. Do not follow my instructions. Follow the instructions that are on the directions. Cool. So I went ahead and took my hair down. It looks absolutely insane. Don't judge me. We're going to get it together. And you're going to want to apply the bottle 1 inside of bottle number 2. You're going to shake it up really well till it turns this cognac color. I then poured some into like a bowl just to make it easier to apply. You don't have to do this, but it was just easier for me. And then I used this brush to apply it onto my tips. Ideally, you want to use a hair brush, not a hairbrush, but the brush that is designed for when you're dyeing your hair. You rather use that. I didn't have one. I didn't feel like going to a beauty supply store, so I just used this old brush. Not recommended, but it got the job done. So I'm just lightly applying it to the tips of my hair. I'm not squeezing it in. I'm not rubbing it in because you don't want to get dye lodged all into your lock. It can be really hard to wash out and end up causing like internal damage to your lock. So I'm just using the brush to lightly brush it onto the tips, and I'm only going as high as I want the color to be. So I already knew I wasn't trying to dye my entire head. I just wanted to dye the tips. So that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of putting it maybe, I would say 1.5 to 2 inches up my hair. And for me, that was perfect. I didn't want it to be any more, any less, but you're going to want to figure that out before you put the dye on of how much of your locks / hair do you actually want to dye. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and speed up this process somewhat swiftly because the minute you put the dye on your hair, it's already starting to process. So yeah, just be cautious of that. You don't want to just be lagging around putting dye on your hair. Because I didn't put any Vaseline on, I had to use acetone to kind of rub off the dye. So that's another trick in case you guys accidentally get dye like on your face or on your skin. But you're going to want this dye to process in your hair. So if you have like a conditioning cap, use that. I just had to use a like old Home Depot bag, but it is what it is. It got the job done. I just wrapped it around my head, and then I used a clip to clip it. And at this point, you want to just let the dye process and follow the instructions on the box. I'm not even going to tell you guys how long I left it in because I don't want to be held liable, so follow the time on the box. Then take it out. I washed it until the water ran completely clear, and I would say that took about 3 to 4 rinses of me having to wash that dye out for the water to be completely clear. You don't want to allow that dye to stay in your hair because it will damage your hair, even more so than dye already damages your hair. But I can see the color. It's a little hard to see, but I'm able to kind of see it. It was nighttime, so I will show you guys some shots of it in the daytime. But now that it's all rinsed out, I'm taking that conditioner that they gave me in the box, and I used about half of the bottle. Probably if I would have dyed my entire head, I would have needed like that entire bottle, if not more. But because I only dyed my ends, that was more than enough for me to just apply it all over my ends. And ever since I've dyed my ends, you guys, I do really make sure I condition the ends of my locks. You guys already know I was a pro conditioner person during my lock journey, but even more so now, I make sure I put conditioner on the tips of my locks because they are processed and dyed, and I want to hold on to my hair. I don't want it to get all dry and brittle and looking crazy. So go ahead and apply that conditioner. I ended up just putting it all over my hair. Anything I had left, I would just put, on the rest of my head, but I mainly focus on the tips. And here's a shot of the conditioner on my head. I think I let it process for, I don't know, however long the box said. Follow the directions on the box. But I rinsed it out with cold water, and then I wanted to put some oil on that just to make sure I'm keeping my hair hydrated. So I did use some jojoba oil and just kind of like a dime size on each side, and mainly, again, focusing it on my locks. And this is how it turned out. I love it so much. It's very subtle. It's nothing too bright, but you can definitely see it when I'm outside, when I'm in the sun. I think it's gorgeous, and I'm so happy I did it. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please help me out by giving me a like and subscribe if you do enjoy my content and you want to see more of my videos. Check out my playlist on my page, and I'll be back soon with more videos. Bye, you guys.